All right, we are back. And today we are going to start the disassembly of the John Deere 450B. It is 1974, like I mentioned in the earlier video. If you haven't checked the earlier video out, make sure you do so now. I'll put the link in the description. After doing all the maintenance in the previous video, we determined that the coolant is leaking from the radiator into the engine. Although it's unfortunate, at least we caught it now while it's still in the garage and we can still work on the thing and before we put the machine under load and potentially really destroy things. So we start off with taking off the hood, getting the exhaust undone, air cleaner. We'll take a look at the top of the engine. From there, I'm hoping we can maybe do a compression test to see if we can narrow down which cylinder's having the issue. The compression test may show us something, it may not show us anything, but if it does give us an indicator of maybe if it's a bad head gasket or a bad seal around a cylinder sleeve. From there, we'll have to unbolt the top of the engine, get the head off, take a look at everything. In-engine rebuild kit, about 800 bucks if I do pistons, rings, gaskets, the whole works. But if I take it apart and I notice that it's literally just a bad head gasket and everything else looks good, I'm sure a head gasket's a lot cheaper than 800 bucks. So we'll see. We'll have to try to take it apart and go from there. But let's dive in. All right, now, I will be the first to admit I have never attempted anything like this before. I've taken apart a diesel John Deere backhoe engine before, so I kind of know what it looks like, but not 100% sure. This is all still fairly new to me. This engine has a turbo on it. Never dealt with anything like that. But hoping to apply similar experience I've had in other machines and just general knowledge to tackle this. So All right, we got the exhaust manifold off now and the turbo. We can get to these injectors and the injector lines, get those off there. That crusty rusty. Smells just like coolant. All right, so while I've been pulling the parts off the dozer, I've been putting them over here on my welding table. So I'm just kind of laying everything out and labeling it as I go, so I know what part it came out of and what part to put it back into. But I figured now that I got the head over here, the head's not super heavy, but when it's all greasy, it almost slipped out of my hands. So I did everything that I could to keep it from falling, because the last thing I want to do is drop this and crack it. But I'm just going to flip this over, see if we can get a look at it underneath, and see if there's any obvious marks or cracks or issues. I'm really not seeing any. This jacket has a bunch of junk in it. That might have been where that might have been bad head gasket, maybe. I don't know. Cause that seemed like a lot of carbon in with the coolant port. But I think the best plan of attack with this, find a machine shop that can hot bath this, clean this all up. I'm gonna have to work on getting these injectors out. These two are stuck in there. But yeah, get this all cleaned up, and then pressure tested or Magnaflux, one of the two tests that'll tell you if there's any cracks in it. And then maybe have them just, I don't know, dust this bottom surface. There's a little bit of the head gasket material left on this side of it. But now this head right here is marked 450D. So I'm wondering if this engine, because the 450B, I'm pretty sure doesn't have a turbo, but this engine has a turbo. So I was wondering if this engine was pulled out of another machine, which if that's the case, that's awesome. It's sweet that we have the newer engine in it versus the old one. All right, so upon initial look, you see some rusty water. Obviously the head gasket's still on there, so I'm gonna wipe it up real quick and see if I can find a spot in the head gasket that maybe it was leaking from. If not, we'll take a look down inside those sleeves. At this point, I've already got the engine this far apart. I'm most likely just gonna buy the in-frame engine rebuild kit, change the sleeves, the gaskets, the seals, all that stuff. But it'd be cool to determine the root cause, so this way we know we're addressing it before we spend that money. I'm gonna get this wiped up. Alright, so I got it all wiped down. There's really no signs of where the head gasket would be blown out, at least on this top side. So I'm gonna see if I can't gingerly peel this off here. Trying to do this careful, so this way I can kind of get an idea it was blown out or not. Okay. I don't know. Doesn't really seem to show any bad signs where it would blow out at. Okay. So now we've got number 1 cylinder and number 4 cylinder down, and when we look at that, number 4 cylinder walls look fine. However, number 1 cylinder up here definitely has coolant in it, but I don't know if that's from taking off the head or what. Alright, I apologize. I'm laying underneath the dozer at the moment, and I'm going to see if I can start taking off the belly pan. All right, so we got the oil pan out, and we really struggled with it, but what we ended up having to do was we had to loosen this bolt here, and then come back and loosen this bolt here. Obviously, it's really hard to get to because the dozer frame's in the way. We did actually try to use the engine hoist and lift the dozer blade all the way up, but it still did not clear it. So we set it back down, we loosened both those bolts, and then what we did was we took the handy dandy adjustable and we put the adjustable on like so. I stood on the dozer frame and I pushed up. It rocked this forward enough that that actually just fell out to the floor. So, with that being said, we'll take a look at the oil pan itself. As you can tell, it looks like a schmore. It's got all sorts of colors in it. Kind of looks like bird poop. But that's from all the coolant mixing with the engine oil. And I don't know. It's definitely slimy. Real slimy. But, ooh. What do you got here? There's fragments of something. But that also could have came when we pulled the head off of it, or when it just fell on the ground. Like this stuff. So, anyway, we'll take a look at it, see if there's any metallic in it. But at this point, we have the oil pan off, the head off. So now we can get underneath there, undo the connecting rods, pull the pistons out, get those sleeves out, and I guess it'd be probably a good time to order parts now that we got it this far apart. So. Alright, a little too much coolant because now it's pouring out everywhere, as you can see. That's what I was trying to avoid. But let's see, once this stops, if I can see it specifically leaking around any of the cylinders. Alright, so I crawled underneath there while the coolant was in it. Did kind of drip in some areas, but I wasn't sure if that was from the overflow or not. So I cranked the engine over by hand using the fan, and still no real dice on where the coolant's coming from, which is kind of concerning. But so now I just rigged up this little hose, come out of the empty and petcock into a pail. We'll empty out our coolant, and I guess it's time to rig up a device to pull the sleeves. So to show you what I got here, I don't know if it's gonna work or not. I may have to just devise like an actual sleeve puller. But here it is, slide hammer. And I think I can put these fingers on there in a way that might pull up on it. And if not, I may have to just create a plate that has a threaded hole in it that I can put the slide hammer on and do it that way. But regardless, we'll get something on there, and I'll clean the camera so it stops looking so smudgy. Okay, so 5-pound slide hammer with this 2-jaw puller. I'm gonna slide it down inside. Down inside the cylinder walls. Hook one side. Have to persuade the other to hook. But then as long as you keep constant pressure up, the hooks stay there. And you can use this slide hammer to see if it's gonna pull the liner or not. I think it's liner 2 that has the issue, because I keep wiping that liner down and I keep getting something bubbling out the side of it. So I'm thinking that's the issue. Well, look at that. I'm standing here and all of a sudden I heard something peeing. That's the exact spot that I said that I keep wiping something off of. I think I found the issue. That's crazy. I guess I should probably stop videotaping this and actually catch it so I don't have a pond on the floor. Yeah, I was like, man, I'm like over here making a puller and I hear it going crazy. That is something else. That explains why so much coolant's in my engine. All right, let's try this now that I devised a little tool for us. Yeah. Wow. There's a hole right in the side of the thing. Woo! Found the problem. Golly. All right, so now look at that. There's a hole right in the side of the thing. How is that even possible? I have no idea. Not the slightest idea. But it's like it was wearing away right all through there. Seal's pretty brittle as well. There's obviously some good old coolant in there from over the years, but this here, how it just ate away at that is amazing. I wonder if there's an imperfection in it from the factory. I don't know. But that's our issue. So we're gonna order sleeves, seals, meaning the O-rings, head gasket. Oh, I'm just gonna do the whole engine rebuild kit. It's like 800 bucks. I know to some that might seem like crazy, like, oh, you just need to replace one sleeve. I'm already in here. I'm this far. I'm not doing this again. Gonna get the rebuild kit. But let me show you the tool I made up here real quick. So I bought the slide hammer, which a lot of you guys, if you're working on stuff like this, you probably already have the slide hammer. So you wouldn't really have to go out and buy anything new. But then you just take a piece of plate and you carve out so it fits around the bottom of the sleeve. So it just made up, kind of rest with the grooves to keep it aligned, and then still have the lips to pull up as you're hammering up. Now, an alternative to this is, yes, you could literally make this piece, and you can make two stands with a threaded rod, like a homemade puller, or you could buy a homemade puller for 100 bucks. I mean, whatever your personal preference is, but the reason I wasn't upset about buying the slide hammer was I know I'll use it for other projects. I know it would have come in handy in previous projects, so I wasn't upset about buying that. So, but hey, we got one out. We'll have to get back and get the other ones out, and then pretty soon it'll be time to rebuild things. Yum. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. This one was about to do the same thing. Right through here. Unreal. All right, about 3 cans of brake clean later, it looks way better in there. The rest will come out when I flush the coolant through her. I'm gonna get those orange seals out of there. And now that I just soaked the entire crankshaft with brake cleaner, I should probably spray something like PB Blaster or something on the mating surfaces for the connecting rods so that none of that rusts up. I mean, it's like a mirrored finish right now, but I'd hate to see like surface rust get on there and become a problem. But I'll hit that with a couple sprays, and then we're gonna jump over to the injectors to see if we can get those out. So this way I can get that head to the guy tomorrow so he can start working on that. And then we just got to measure the bearings to see if they're oversized or not, so we know what kit to buy. All right, so injector 1, injector 3. Neither of these two wanted to come out. So I might have to get a little aggressive with them, unfortunately. Look at that. That one was fighting me for the longest time, and bam, just broke free. Nozzles on these are all gummed up as well. I'll have to see if there's a part number for them or something on here, and see if I can either get new ones ordered, or I know you can rebuild these things, but I don't know how to do that. Yikes. I'm gonna say that injector is officially ruined. I'm still concerned with how it even required that much force. That blows my mind. Huh. Wow. Well, it's out. It's out. So that was cylinder 3. All right, so at this point, the camera's got grease and oil all over it. I got grease and oil all over it. This head here is ready to take a bath. The machine shop said they're going to take the valves out. They'll probably clean those up. They're going to acid wash it, magnaflux it, and then we'll get it back, and hopefully by that time we have all of our other parts ordered and the rest of the stuff reassembled so we can slap this on and get that machine back up and running. All right, so one more thing here that I wanted to try, or just double check, is I wanted to see what the internal size here of this bearing was, to see if they potentially machined the crankshaft at all. I guess in order to know that, I'd have to know the original size, which I think the owner's manual may tell me that, but I'm not 100% sure. So what you want to do is when you check these you're gonna want to torque it to specs. So specs 52 foot-pounds. So I'm just gonna run these in so they're close, and then I'll torque them with a torque wrench. Then I got telescoping gauges. We'll get those out. Put a telescoping gauge in here, and I'll measure it with my dial calipers. Technically, you'd want to use a micrometer if you had one of the appropriate size, but all I got is dial indicators. So that'll get me close enough to tell me like, hey, how's it? I don't know if it's been machined or not. So I got this already set to 52 foot-pounds. Now I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this and hold it, so I may have to put it in the vise, but we'll see. Nope. I'm going to have to put it in the vise, I think. Maybe not. Okay. 52 foot-pounds. Now, I need to get the telescoping gauge. I literally just bought this set today. So, let's see, that size is probably in this ballpark. So to use these, you just unscrew the end, loosen the end, squeeze these together, gently tighten it down. So now it's compressed. Then you're going to insert it in here. I don't know if I can do this with my hand. You're going to insert it in here. And then once you untwist it, it's going to expand. So let me see. Okay, so now it's expanded in there. And then you're going to want to tighten it down again. Pull it straight out. And then this outer measurement right here is going to tell us our interior diameter for those bearings. It's looking like 2.741, 2.74. All right, so I pulled up the engine specifications. I know it's upside down for you right now. I can turn it around, but the measurement that we got was 2.74, and it's saying that the raw journal outer diameter is 2.748. All right, we're back today. Just give you guys a quick update. Took the cylinder head to a machine shop and did it turn out beautiful. Acid bath, Magnaflux, and then they went through the whole 9 yards. I mean, he ended up painting it. It looked this good and shiny once he was done with it, but then he painted it so this way it wouldn't rust. Cleared out all the injector holes because I had issues getting the injectors out. Retapped all the threads, and then he ended up putting shims underneath the springs because he had to do some work to the valves. And he also shaved the head, which I think you guys can see. I believe he said it was 4.5 thousandths. Basically just dusted it up, make sure it's nice and flat. Decarboned everything. Did a really, really good job. Quick turnaround time. Another exciting thing is On top of that being done, the engine rebuild came in. This is box 1. Box 2 is over here behind me. So we're gonna be breaking into that very soon. Starting to assemble things, clean everything up with the engine, and start putting it back together. So let's get after it.